So today we are going to discuss about this MOSFET fabrication. I hope that you remember that in the last class we have discussed about briefly about the fabrication techniques of CMOS inverter, right? You recall, right? So there we have seen broadly what are the steps to fabricate, how can we fabricate and CMOS inverter, right? So if you can fabricate any CMOS inverter, then I hope that you should be also fabricate any other complicated gate, right? Maybe the process steps will be a bit more complicated. Now, today, in today's class, let us try to dig into more detail regarding this MOSFET fabrication, right? Different aspects that we have not discussed so far during our last class. So first to start with that this MOSFET fabrication, let us first briefly discuss that when MOSFET was initially invented, the MOSFETs were actually a gate last process, right? So what do you mean by this gate last process? Gate last process means that here the gate of this MOSFET were made at after you make this source and drain contacts, or not contacts, source and drain diffusions. So for example, if you consider and in the case of this NMOS, okay, for this particular case, so you know the starting material should be of this P silicon, right? Say P silicon P of this 11100 wafer we are using, right? And here this we have to make these two source and drain regions. So then they have to be this N plus. So we can use either diffusion or ion implantation to make these two regions, right? N plus N plus. And then also we need an oxide to make MOSFET. So this is that silicon dioxide which we are using for making this MOSFET, right? And after once you have this formed this silicon dioxide, which will also act as the gate oxide for this particular case, then we form this gate, whether it may be a metal gate or it may be an a polysilicon gate. So, but I think you recall that during the time of invention of MOSFET, initially people have used the metal gate, right? So you can also think of that this is the metal gate, right? And then you have to meet, so gate contact is already been formed. Now you have to form the source and drain contact, but you can see source and drain regions are covered with silicon dioxide, right? If you say like this is the source, the source N plus and this is the drain N plus region, then they are covered with silicon dioxide. So you need to first etch this or open this region. So how do you open it? Well, the particular term that has been used in VLSI technology is called the etching. So we etch these two regions and to open this N plus region and this here N plus region and form this source and drain contact. So you can see it is pretty straightforward, right? To make an NMOS, right? And here you have also noticed that the gate has been formed after formation of this N plus source and drain regions, isn't it? Right? So here the process steps are already been discussed. So this document I will share with you as well. So the process steps you can read how to make this how to make this gate last process MOSFET. But see here there will be difficulty. So one difficulty is that, and that is quite crucial, is that okay, before I discuss that, let me ask you one question. Suppose we are making a MOSFET, okay, and the MOSFET is like this. Okay, suppose this is that P silicon, and here we have made this N plus region, and here this N plus source and drain region, right? And suppose after that we have also formed this oxide region. So the oxide is this region, this is oxide, right? As this is oxide, fine. Okay. Now on top of which, suppose we want to form the gate, right? Now where do we form the gate? Suppose if we make the gate like this, okay, this much, okay, this much. Suppose if we make the gate like this, that is a gate metal, suppose, right? If we make the gate like this, do you think that this MOSFET will work? No, right? Because here you can see this gate is covering up to this region. So when you apply a positive voltage here, the inversion channel the will be only created up to this region, right? This gate has almost no control over this region. So if the channel is forming, the channel will form up to here. So the channel is not being continuous from the source to drain, right? So that this MOSFET will not work, right? So to ensure that this MOSFET works, what we have to do, we have to make sure that this gate metal actually extends from the source region to this drain region, right? Right. But in the gate last process, see what we are doing. We are forming this gate metal, or we are patterning this gate metal after we have formed this N plus and drain N plus source and drain regions, right? So, and how do you pattern this? We pattern this gate metal by using lithography. I hope that you are already familiar with the basic lithography steps. I think we'll also discuss it bit into more detail, because I remember in your devices laboratory course, you have also a part of fabrication where you have definitely you have exposed to the lithography steps, right? So, lithography, there might be possible, there is a good chance or possibility of this uh, call this misalignment. Okay. So to avoid this random misalignment, so what do we mean by misalignment? Misalignment means when we are aligning this gate on top of compare to this source and drain in plus region, right? So your gate might shift little bit towards left or towards right, this gate metal, right? So as a result, to ensure or to avoid this random misalignment, because see, until and unless you try to understand from here, until and unless this gate metal is entirely covering the source and drain region, means this from the source and drain region, your device is not going to work, right? So to ensure the operation or successful operation of this MOSFET, what we have to ensure that there is actually some amount of overlap, right, between this gate metal and the source and drain regions, right? But for this gate last process, which was earlier been used, you due to there is a good amount of possibility that this this gate alignment will be, there's something wrong with the gate alignment or misalignment of this gate. Okay, because this alignment are done on with respect to some alignment markers, and considering the dimension of this gate, if you know the dimension of this gate, right? Earlier it was in microns, but nowadays it is in nanometer. So this nanometer dimension to align with respect to only within this channel is extremely critical, right? So to ensure the operation of this type of MOSFET fabricated by this gate last process, what you have to do, you have to make sure that there is a sufficient amount of overlap between this gate metal and source and drain regions, right? Because you are basically keeping some margin, okay, that my gate might shift towards left on this much, and gate might also shift towards in the right by this much, which is completely random process, right? And due to that, you need to keep really this gate to source, means gate to source or gate to drain overlap quite high, right? So what will be the difficulty in that? So we have already discussed, right, this gate and this gate to source. Okay, this overlap region, you will have an gate to source overlap capacitance, right? At the same time, you have this gate to drain overlap capacitances, right? And those capacitances will affect the delay as well as the power consumption, right? So to minimize uh, these capacitances or this streak, because we don't need these capacitances, right? And because and they are not performing any, they are not giving anything, any advantage, right, in terms of MOSFET operation. Just to make ensure that this device works, we have to keep this overlap cap, means we have to mix this overlap, right? And which as a penalty we have to pay, right, in terms of this overlap capacitances, right? It is called this overlap capacitance, right? So this is not a good thing. I think you will agree with me. So to avoid that, one technique that has been invented a bit later on, and which was quite popular, okay, which is called the self-aligned technique. Okay, By that time, people have also understood that this gate metal is not going to be a very as a the gate. If you want to form this gate by using some metal, it will not be a very good option for that next technique, which is called the self-aligned technology. You have to introduce some different material for that as a gate. So let us see that. So here you can see this MOSFET fabrication using self-aligned gate MOSFET, right? And in addition to that, you can also see it is written with low cost isolation. So what is low cost? We will see a bit later on this in today's class only. Low cost, just to for your information, low cost stands for local oxidation, or local of LOC means local, O for oxidation, is for silicon, local oxidation of silicon, this isolation. So obviously you understand from this low cost isolation, this term, that it has been used to isolate one device from the other device. So for example, you have a MOSFET like this, right? So suppose this is N plus, this is N plus, maybe you have another N channel MOSFET just beside it, right? Just beside it, to ensure that the operation of this MOSFET is not interfering the operation of the MOSFET which is adjacent to it. What we have to do, we have to ensure or make sure that these two devices are actually isolated from each other, right? Different so regarding this, I would also like to say that different isolation techniques has been used. This low cost is one of them, right? So we'll focus more on that low cost technique bit later on, but now we will try to focus on this self aligned gate MOSFET technology, right? So this self aligned process technology is used to eliminate the need of alignment, that this need of alignment of this gate electrode means basically the gate metal with respect to the source and drain. Quite straightforward, right? And here it also says that to reduce this, the intention is to reduce the CGS naught, that is overlap capacitance, and CGD naught, the overlap capacitance, right? So how to do that? Let us see that. Okay, so we have to use our this low cost technique to form the isolation, and after isolation, the structure of this p silicon wafer would look something like this. Okay, so here you can see that it is a p silicon wafer. Orientation is 100, right? It is also important for MOSFET to use 100. Generally, MOSFET is being used 100 only, right? And there is also some some reason why MOSFET, for making MOSFET we use 100, okay, not any other orientation. Okay, so I would encourage you to please find why this 100 orientation is used for fabricating this MOSFET. Whereas if you try to find for BJT, you will find the BJT is being formed on the or fabricated on the wafer, which is not actually 100. Please try to figure out the reason. Huh? So here you can see the structure, the top shape of the, the surface would look something like this. So here you have the silicon dioxide, which is quite thick, and the silicon dioxide looks something like this, in between some thick, and gradually it's become thinner. The thickness becomes silicon dioxide thinner. So this is basically silicon dioxide, right? And this is also that same silicon dioxide, right, which is called all this is quite thick, and this has been used as an field oxide. So what is the utilization of field oxide? I think you can recall from the last class when we have discussed about the CMOS inverter fabrication, that on top of this field oxide the metal lines will be traveling, right? You recall the field oxide? Okay. Now, why we have to really make this region quite thick? That is because suppose if it is on top of if on top of this this field oxide, if some metal line is going, and suppose if this metal on top of this metal line, right, if you have applied some positive voltage, then what it will do? So you can here also you can see it is nothing but again make this MOSFET, right? It is M metal oxide semiconductor, right? It is again this, it will also form this MOS structure. So obviously if you have a sufficient amount of positive voltage, then here also some channel will form, and that basically makes connect the device which is on this side, this left side, and the right side, right? Now the thing is that what we have done. We have intentionally made this oxide thickness quite thicker. So you know that when you make the oxide thickness thicker, or when the COx become lower, the threshold voltage becomes quite high, because you need to really apply very high positive voltage to induce the channel. All right. You understand why we need a thicker oxide, in this field oxide, in this, why the field oxide has to be quite thick. I think now you have understood this, right? To be even in the safer side, what you can do, you can use additional implantation just below it. Okay, so that, because suppose if you know that this the threshold voltage of this MOS structure, this particular MOS structure, please follow my cursor, this particular MOS structure, right, is also dependent on the doping concentration of the substrate. So if you somehow increase the doping concentration only for this region, right, or only for this region, so that will also increase the threshold voltage. So increasing the threshold voltage means basically the probability of forming any parasitic channel between under this field oxide is substantially reduced, right? Okay, that's why this field oxide there has to be quite thick, and many cases one channel stop implant is also been done under this field oxide. I hope this part is clear. Okay, so once you have this structure, then what we do? We do and thermal oxidation. Remember that this gate oxide, to form this gate oxide, we always use thermal oxide, because I think you already know that oxidation can be of two types. So one is the thermal oxidation and the other one is the thermal oxidation can be of two types. One is the wet oxidation and the other one is the dry oxidation. But wet oxidation gives you the much better oxide quality as well as the much better oxide interface. And for MOSFET operation, the interface between this silicon dioxide and silicon is everything, right? The interface. This interface is everything. Remember that. Because I think from the first class you recall that the MOSFET theory has been predicted in 1929. However, the actual MOSFET demonstration was in 1960s. So why that so much gap between the actual theory prediction of this theory uh, and its demonstration? That was because it was so challenging to get this interface proper, or to make this interface perfect, near to perfect, right? So until and unless you have this interface good, your MOSFET will not work. Remember that. Huh? And in this case, the oxidation that has been used, gate oxide, that is the dry oxidation. Huh? This dry oxidation is being used. So, and remember that when you are forming this dry oxidation, it has to be quite thin, right? Because it is a gate oxide, right? Gate oxide is always quite thin. Now, depending upon that, it depends on the technology node that you are using, right? And when you are doing this oxidation, right, the it will here some oxide will be definitely growing, because it was open, or it was a this silicon surface is actually the open to the atmosphere. The once you expose it to that oxygen ambient and at high temperature, definitely one thin layer of silicon dioxide will form here, as you can see here. But at the same time, some oxide layer will also form, okay, here. Okay, means the oxide thickness of this will also increase, but that increase is almost negligible, because here already is a very thick oxide, right? But remember that when you are doing oxidation, oxidation will form everywhere. Even though the region is covered with oxide, there also some amount of oxide, additional oxide will form, right? So I hope this step B is clear to you. Okay, let us see what next. So after that, what you will do, after that you will form on top of it, you deposit complete polysilicon. So you can assume, right, I will deposit a polysilicon like this, right? And then I will pattern the polysilicon. Pattern means I will use lithography and etch the polysilicon from this region, from this region to this region, and from this region to this region. So once we etch this polysilicon, so the remaining polysilicon will stay on top of this, right, on top of this silicon dioxide, right? So this is the polysilicon, and this polysilicon will be used as a gate electrode, right? Okay, now why polysilicon? I think this part will be clear to you just after some time only. So once we have this, right, this is the gate, this is forming the polysilicon gate, right? Then we need to form, definitely see the gate is there, now we have to form source and drain. So to form source and drain, if it is an NMOS, then we have to implant some donor, right? Or maybe if you can also think of making diffusion, but in modern MOSFET, generally implantation has been used, right? So you do the implantation. In implantation is what actually implantation is basically you accelerate the donor ions. Okay, whichever ion. Suppose if you want to use this arsenic as an pentavalent, obviously you have to use some pentavalent impurity right here. So those arsenic atoms you have to accelerate using this quite high producing high electric field. And once these ions accelerate, then you have to bombard those ions on this surface. So whenever they are getting bombarded, okay, it will penetrate this thin oxide and form this N plus region, and obviously it is a physical bombardment, so some physical damage will definitely be done on the surface as well as to the crystal, but definitely you know that this implantation is always followed by some annealing or dry-in process, right? Implantation or diffusion, implantation or this diffusion is followed by annealing or drive-in, right? So and this is basically a quite high temperature process, right? So that's why we need to use some gate or some material. This gate should be formed by some material which can withstand this high temperature. So that is one of the reasons why polysilicon is being preferred for making this gate electrode in the self-aligned technology, right? So you understand when we implant this N plus or this donor impurities in this, it will form this N plus region here and N plus region here, right? But at the same time, this is polysilicon. Polysilicon is nothing but it is also silicon, right? But it is polycrystalline silicon. When we say this polysilicon, it basically means polycrystalline silicon. Okay, but here this silicon is actually the single crystal silicon. Single crystal silicon. So what is the then difference is that this single crystal silicon means the orientations all are type of same orientations, crystal orientations, right? But in polysilicon, this is the single crystal. But in polycrystalline silicon, what it will be done, if you think for some region of it will have, suppose like this. For some region, the orientations are crystalline, means all regions are crystalline only. But for some region, this these are actually full, means these are in the same type. Whereas for the other region, maybe the orientation is a bit different, but but for the entire region, the crystal structure is the same. I hope you understand my point, right? If you are considering this region, means that this region is the crystalline, this next region is also crystalline, this region is also crystalline, this is crystalline, but not through. If you consider the whole as a region, the entire region, the orientations or the crystal, you can say better the orientations. These orientations are different, right? But this within this is called the grain boundaries. Within these regions, it is perfectly crystalline. So that is the difference between polycrystalline and crystalline silicon. There is another type of silicon is also possible, which is called the amorphous silicon. Amorphous silicon is basically a silicon where we do not actually dope. Means the amorphous silicon is basically type of, there is no, it's a type of, random orientations. And okay, no type of, regularity is there. That is called the amorphous. Right. So let us not go into too much detail into this discussion. But what you have understood, right? Once this has formed, this implantation should also affect this polysilicon, right? Because if it can penetrate this silicon, then obviously why not this polysilicon, right? Actually, it does. So what it does is that this polysilicon, it also make this polysilicon heavily doped, right? And when you heavily dope this polysilicon, its resistance is means resistivity also reduces, and that's actually helpful for us. We need to make this polysilicon heavily doped. Otherwise, you can think of the distributed this model RC model, and that way you are actually increasing the resistance of this gate, right? So we don't want that to happen, right? So as a result, we always have to dope this gate quite heavily. So I think you have also noticed from this case, when you are making this n plus region on this 2 for NMOS, you are also implanting or you are also doping this polysilicon gate by n type. So always remember that. For NMOS, the polysilicon is also doped with N type. So in the same token, we can also say if you are making PMOS, then these two region you have to make P plus and P plus. So we have to implant some acceptor impurities, right? And in that case, the polysilicon gate will be doped by P type, right? So recall that and please try to figure out why we really have to do that. Why for NMOS it has to be doped with the N type, and for PMOS the gate is preferably doped with the P type, right? So once we have formed this two region N plus and N plus, so for making contact we have to open this silicon dioxide and silicon dioxide etch away silicon dioxide, and that has been done here. Silicon dioxide has been etched, and then finally you have to form the contact. But before making the contacts, to ensure that the source metal contact means basically you have to deposit some metal and pattern it, right? And so when you are to make a contact, you have to ensure that the source metal does not touch with the polysilicon gate, right? So as a result, what you do, we first deposit this deposit this oxide. It may be any other oxide as well, right? It is not grown, it is basically deposited, right? So you deposit an oxide like this, right, in the entire region, then open these regions for making the contact for source and drain, and then deposit some metal and pattern this metal accordingly, which forms this source and drain. So here you can see this source, this metal deposited here is making a contact with this N plus, and here the deposited metal is making a contact with this N plus region, and that basically forms this source and drain for this MOSFET. And here this oxide that we have deposited earlier, right, this oxide which is shown here by this orange color, that's basically isolates between this gate, polysilicon gate,